I think it's pretty safe to say that by far one of the big Star Wars trilogies that had a lot of production issues and how Lucasfilm had a very hard time throughout production and the Star Wars fandom having issues with these movies are, of course, the sequel trilogy films. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, one thing about Episode 9 is that we do know, obviously, that this was the culmination of the Skywalker saga. This was Disney's way in order to end everything related to the Skywalker saga. Now, obviously, they are going to find other ways to continue that, as we went over in our last video about what Kathleen Kennedy said of how they're not necessarily done with the Skywalkers. But the thing here is this: when you look at the sequel trilogy, obviously a lot of things were done in the wrong way. You know, a lot of fans had issues with how the character of Luke was used in Episode 8. A lot of fans had issues with the inconsistencies of the sequel trilogy, how a lot of creatives came on board and were either fired or let go from start to finish of developing this trilogy. And you can really see what Disney has gone through, you know, since 2012 when they took over Lucasfilm. They really went through a lot of different hoops in order to get this new trilogy done. And here we are, you know, now we're in a new era of Star Wars where we're going to be entering into a new mythology. They're developing new eras, new Star Wars material as we speak. And what's really intriguing about all of this is, of course, what Disney has in store for the fans that can be quite worrisome to some out there. Now, with both Disney and Lucasfilm currently done with the Skywalker saga and moving on to their new Star Wars universe, many fans have been worried about exactly how Disney will handle the future of the Star Wars franchise and exactly where it's all going. Now, one of the big plans by Disney's CEO Bob Iger is to reunite the fans is by bringing back George Lucas in a big way for the Star Wars brand, and then as of now, George Lucas will have creative control over the new Star Wars films that are currently in early development. Noted that George Lucas will be using many of his original ideas from the prequel trilogy era that were not used for those new Star Wars films that will actually be used in these new Star Wars movies, and that this is all made possible because of Disney CEO Bob Iger. Where the major transition here is that Bob Iger wants to reset the Star Wars franchise in a sense of how they will handle the Star Wars brand moving forward, and that they will be resurrecting many new Star Wars Legends stories such as books, comics, video games, and even Legends that will actually be made into TV shows and even Star Wars films in the near future. Now, this is said to be Bob Iger's plan to reset the Star Wars brand, and that elements of the sequel trilogy will be retconned for the Star Wars community to better understand the films and to also give them a different experience with the sequel trilogy era, and that they are actually developed to end the saga. Now, one of the other plans by Bob Iger is that a part of the reset is that Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau will play a large role in bringing back Star Wars Legends to life, and of course for the Star Wars brand, and how it will also involve many retcons for the Star Wars sequel trilogy of films in the form of canon material that will be released sometime in 2021 next year. So what's really exciting is that when we look at everything what Disney has done so far, this is, of course, I think, going to worry some fans, but also excite some fans. Let's talk about what's going to excite a lot of fans out there. So the thing here is this, is that bringing back Star Wars Legends is a great move as long as you stay very accurate to the source material. You guys may remember the famous line that Kathleen Kennedy said, the famous statement where we have no source material, when she talked about how they're developing movies and stuff around those lines. Where, meanwhile, we have a library's worth of books and novels from the 90s and the early 2000s. There's no denying that. It's there, it's physically there. So, when we look at what Disney's trying to do, obviously, now, is that they're trying to really make Star Wars of what it was pre-2012. I'm talking about the time before Disney took over Lucasfilm. And that's exactly what they want to emulate here, is that they want to create Star Wars as a brand that's going to be close to Star Wars Legends. They're going to be bringing back many fan-favorite characters like Darth Malgus, Mara Jade, all those favorite characters in the Star Wars EU. Now, the other thing here is that George Lucas, Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, they're all going to have a say in the matter on the creative decisions over these new Star Wars films, these new Star Wars TV shows, and that many retcons will be made not just to the sequel trilogy, but also to the originals and the prequels, in order to actually make the sequels make more sense. Now, that's one thing that does worry me. I will be honest with you guys. That is something that I don't 100% support. I think retcons to the originals and the prequels is a very bad idea. But retcons to the sequel trilogy could very well be an excellent idea if it's going to enhance the actual movie experience once you go ahead and watch it, right? So, like I've said before in the past, I mean, this really is quite surreal, the fact that Star Wars needs to actually have renovation, essentially. It needs a facelift by Disney and Lucasfilm, and it's tough to think that that's where we are right now with Star Wars. So anyways, guys, let me know what you think about all of this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night